One Zambia, one nation. Good evening and welcome to the news on ZNBC. To present the news, my name is Nawali of Lahakis and my sign language interpreter is Samson Wale. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Edgar Lungu has received an overview of the Ministerial Economic Clusters report from 4 ministries. Chief Government spokesperson Doris Elia says the recent ratings of Zambia's economy by Moody's and Standard & Poor's is a sign of confidence the international community has in the country. German ambassador to Zambia, Akim Buket, says Zambia's multi-sectoral approach in the fight against cholera is commendable. And the Chess Federation of Zambia has implored the corporate world to consider investing in sports as it has potential to create wealth and good health for the youth. We now have the news in detail. President Edgar Lungu has received an overview of the Ministerial Economic Cluster report from 4 ministries. The ministries comprise agriculture, livestock and fisheries, tourism, communications and transport. Zanis reports that cluster chairperson Michael Katambo, who is also Minister of Agriculture, presented the report to President Edgar Lungu at State House in Lusaka today. We have more in this report.
The second round presentation of Ministerial Economic Cluster reports have commenced at State House. Today, a cluster comprising 4 ministries, namely Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries, and Tourism, presented the report to President Edgar Lungu. And Special Assistant to the President for Press and Public Relations, Amos Chand, explained that the ideas of clusters is aimed at promoting strong imperative public communications to the people and to regulate an open dialogue between ministries.
Within which the President hopes that it will follow the budget provisions, implementation, the 7th National Development Plan, and within the framework of set out in terms of monitoring and evaluation. The President wants what is said at the beginning of the year is implemented, and that, as a result, his major message to the cluster of ministries that are attended today and those that will come is that there is a strong imperative for public communication, that the ministries and government departments must communicate regularly, truth-free and open as possible to the public.
And cluster chairperson Michael Katambo, who is also Minister of Agriculture, highlighted the programs that have been implemented by cluster members.
Issues of agriculture has been an issue that has been raised on the seed importation, that we are supposed to encourage our farmers, especially in the Irish potato seed production. There are some private commercial farmers who have started to engage in the production of Irish potato seed, and then also in CDC in the Northern Province, we've got about a $12 million project to start producing about 1,000 metric tons of Irish potato seed. Zambia as a nation, we've been also submitted to the international organizations on also the seeds that we have within the Ministry of Agriculture as a country for exportation. There's been the issue raised also on the offloading of maize by the millers, that we need to sit and have a meeting with them to see how much maize that we are holding to, and how much, because usually after the crop forecast we usually release the maize under FRA in March. So all those are issues that we need to look into. There's the issue of restocking and stocking also with livestock in our breeding centers. Quipa has been one example which has been started to restock with small ruminants. Also in the wildlife, restocking programs within our national parks and our game management areas.
In another development, Mr. Chand has explained that the Industrial Development Corporation IDC will in due course meet to deliberate on modalities to salvage the times of Zambia from its financial challenges.
The President has directed that a special committee within IDC will be meeting to look at the indebtedness of the times of Zambia and the options, the various options available. I'll be joining that meeting myself to work out both short, medium and long-term plans to salvage the Times of Zambia from the indebtedness that it has, particularly debt relating to terminal benefits, salary arrears, suppliers, and also legal fees. I wish to state that the Minister of Information, working with the IDC, will soon be announcing a plan to sustainably run the Times of Zambia.
Pethias Mutali, ZNBC News.
Chief Government Spokesperson Doris Elia says the recent ratings of Zambia's economy by Moody's and Standard & Poor's is a sign of confidence the international community has in the country. Ms. Elia, who is also Minister of Information and Broadcasting Services, says government will continue to support priority economic sectors for job and wealth creation. She has also explained that at the end of 2017, the country saw positive economic growth of 3 to 4%. With a stable exchange rate and single-digit inflation. Ms. Elia has also stated that the intervention by the central bank to reduce the policy rate is another effort to facilitate cheaper financing to allow the private sector to grow and contribute to the country's economic growth. And the Bankers Association of Zambia, BAZ, is elated by the credit ratings of Zambia following the ratings by the Moody's and Standard & Poor's. BAZ Public Relations and Administrative Officer Miriam Zimba says the ratings shows a true and favorable representation of what is happening in the country.
0.75%, as well as the statutory reserve ratio has also been scaled down by 300 basis points, now standing at 5% from the previous 8%. So that is a positive move because on the economic side of things, it has set trends for downward scaling down of interest rates, meaning that from the banking sector, there's going to be adequate credit to the private sectors as well as the productive sectors of the economy, as well as to ensure that there is enough liquidity to be channeled towards the productive sectors of the economy and to would be people who would want to access credit from the banking sector.
Meanwhile, the Economic Association of Zambia President Crispin Mpuka says the rating of Moody's and Standard & Poor's sends a good indicator to investors and pricing of financial instruments. Dr. Mpuka, however, says it is important for government to slow down on borrowing so that the economy can remain stable and be sustainable. Meanwhile, Copperbelt province-based economist Collins Mudenda says the country's latest credit rating by Standard & Poor's as economically stable is a positive development. Mr. Mudenda says the rating confirms other independent economic rating agencies such as Moody's Investor Service, which recently graded Zambia with a stable outlook. Mr. Mudenda, who is also head business and supply at the Copperbelt University, was speaking in an interview with ZNBC News in Kitwe.
It's a very good thing that the rating agencies, who are international parties and very independent of this country, can continue to rate us in this manner, because they've seen, I think, some prudence in what is going on in the nation. And the rating, for example, the B stable is a very good rating because it means that the country is able to pay back its debt. So when the company borrows money, it is able to pay the lenders without problems. And so that creates confidence in additional lenders for them to be able to lend. That is the beauty about this rating. It further means that the country will not be able to default. It will borrow, and in the agreed period of time, the country will be able to pay back on its loan. And so that is why you find some of these agencies see the status to be this stable.
Zambia has been listed on the Global Climate Fund GCF board meeting agenda for its $84.5 million financing proposals in energy and agriculture. The GCF board meeting, which has officially opened in the Republic of South Korea, will deliberate on, among other issues, Zambia's $52.5 million private financing proposal for the energy sector and another $32 million public financing proposal for agriculture. The two proposals are part of government's off-traditional budget financing for the 7th National Development Plan projects in agriculture and energy. The $52.5 million proposal, once approved, will be used on investment projects on renewable energy through private sector financing under the Africa Development Bank ADB. And the $32 million proposal for agriculture will be used for enhancing households' adaptation to climate change effects by strengthening resilience of agricultural livelihoods in affected areas. Zambia's proposals represent 51% of the $165.8 million for Africa. Minister of Mines Richard Musokwa says government will not allow illegality and lawlessness once it creates a platform for youths involved in small-scale mining on the Copper Belt. Mr. Musokwa says government is aware that apart from accidents happening in the mining area, there is lawlessness to an extent of gunshots being exchanged, which government will not allow. The Mines Minister says President Edgar Lungu and the Patriotic Front government have realized that they need to create a platform for Copper Belt youths in order for them to survive. Mr. Musokwa said this during a meeting with the youths involved in the small-scale mining in Chingola on Sunday evening, which was also attended by Minister of Home Affairs Stephen Kampyongo, Minister of Presidential Affairs Freedom Sikazwe, and various members of Parliament. Meanwhile, Mr. Kampyongo has warned that any youth found taking the law into their own hands will be dealt with.
We are aware that apart from the accidents that are happening, there is lawlessness to an extent that people are exchanging gunfires in our operation. We will not allow that. There is a government in place, legitimately elected, in order to create order, and that we are going to do. If we go to twarani afuirisha pakweba tumukwate opportunity ya kubomba wino muma areas I have regularized, agreed with the parties. Secondly, we are also aware that we have contractors and suppliers who have been struggling to find job opportunities. Foreigners have taken key supply jobs that our people are supposed to undertake. We are going to ensure that you, our local people, have an opportunity. And we are not pleading for anyone. This is just a piece of cake that our people should enjoy.
The police command are under serious instructions to make sure that they monitor your activities. And those that want to take the law in their hands, bukangalume. Tukatishwa kumisungia. Because boys hapa, you have got families. Mulefaya ukuwike chakula pama table ya families. You've got people who are looking up to you. Na aba ichaba shiri pano imisepela yo mubomfya ukubombe emirimu.
Government has started the process of refining the current constitution by removing inconsistencies and lacunas. And Justice Minister Given Luminda says the country cannot continue to be governed by a constitution which has a lot of inconsistencies. Details are in this report.
A team of technocrats from the Ministry of Justice meeting to refine the country's constitution. They include state advocates, court registrars, law drafters, and parliamentary legal officers, among others. They are meeting to remove inconsistencies from the draft amended constitution, which has since been produced. This is after getting submissions from members of the public and other stakeholders.
Since the constitution was enacted in January 2016, there have been calls to refine the constitution in order to address the lacuna and inconsistencies found therein. In this regard, the Ministry, in October 2016, requested stakeholders to make submission on proposals to refine the Constitution.
And Justice Minister Given Lubinda says the country cannot continue with the Constitution, which is inconsistent with a lot of lacunas.
Government anticipates that the draft Constitution that will be 2018 should be published in May of 2018. Like I said, some people are in a hurry. Government is also in a hurry. We cannot continue to be governed by a constitution that has so many inconsistencies.
And Mr. Lubinda says the proposed amendment bill will be published in May and will be presented to Parliament in June this year.
That bill will be presented to Parliament in the June session. It is our hope that Parliament will conclude the process by the end of the June session.
Mr. Lubinda says the meeting will not change the fundamental governance principles of the Constitution, but refine it to make it easy for ordinary citizens to interpret.
This process is purely aimed at making the Constitution better to read. It must be a document that everyone can interpret. That is what we're here.
The minister is hopeful the meeting will address some of the concerns raised, which makes it difficult for people to interpret the Constitution. Katushi Wadia reporting from Siavonga.
The Constitutional Court has adjourned the case in which UPND Munali constituency losing candidate Doreen Wamba has challenged the election of Professor Nkanduluo as duly elected Member of Parliament. This was after the court ordered High Court Judge Edward Musone to view a video that had been produced as evidence before him and confirm its authenticity. The Constitutional Court further guided that the video should be viewed in the presence of all the parties. Judge Musona, who handled the matter at the High Court, is expected to give feedback to the Constitutional Court by March 29, 2018. Constitutional Court Judge Justice Enoch Mulembe, sitting with other judges, observes that this decision has been taken in the interest of justice. In this matter, Professor Luo had argued that the video should not be presented, but the petitioners argued to the contrary, saying the video should be part of evidence. The Munali seat was nullified by the High Court on account of electoral malpractice. This forced Professor Luo to appeal the High Court's decisions in the Constitutional Court. Thank you so much for watching the news on ZNBC. We now go for our first commercial break. Join us shortly. Very much for staying with us. We continue with the news. The Ministry of Finance will this year provide over 3.9 billion kwacha for empowerment programs under various ministries and government spending agencies. Among the sectors benefiting from the empowerment program is the Farmer Input Support Program for the e-voucher system, which will stand at 1.78 billion kwacha, while over 500 million kwacha has been set for student loans and 176 million on skills development fund. The ministry is also expected to spend over 200 million kwacha on constituency development fund, while over 75 million kwacha will be given to educational support and grants in collaboration with the World Bank, targeting 16,000 girls from extreme poor households in 16 districts. A further 75,000 women will be empowered with grants in 51 districts. The ministry will also disburse over 700 million kwacha under the Ministry of Community Development for the Social Cash Transfer Scheme, targeting 700,000 beneficiaries. This is contained in a statement released to ZNBC News by the Ministry of Finance spokesperson Chileshe Kandeta. And Minister of Finance Margaret Mwanakatwe has reiterated that the launch of the 7th National Development Plan in 2017 renewed Zambia's commitment to the attainment of the vision of becoming a prosperous middle-income country by the year 2030. The minister affirmed that there is need to learn from the country's past challenges in managing empowerment funds if Zambia is to charter the desired path to a bright destination for all beneficiaries. Chief Mwanatete of Luampa District in Western Province has offered to provide land to youths who want to venture in agriculture production. The traditional leader is also urging his subjects who have either retired or do not have jobs to get back to the land. Chief Mwanatete says he is willing to offer land for agriculture to people who will show willingness regardless of which part of Zambia they come from. He told ZNBC News that no one will develop rural areas if Zambians themselves do not do so.
I would like to encourage the young ones, those who are still in town, to come back home. Home is home. There's no need for you to be in town if you are not employed. Land is available here. Come and work. Come and till land. Come and do something. I hear you have gone to see the fish ponds. People are able to make even fish ponds, gardens. You are able to do that. So why should you be in town? Come back home. We are welcome. We shall receive you. The land is there. Come and develop your area. Especially the people are from Luampa. I would like to make an appeal to them to come back home so that they can come and develop. Even those who have retired, please come back home. Come and make your shelter here at home.
Zambia Sugar PLC's Managing Director Rebecca Katoa says the company paid 20.3 million kwacha in direct taxes to government in the 2016-2017 financial year. Mrs. Katoa says the firm also spent 3.8 billion kwacha as positive economic impact for the period under review. And Mrs. Katoa says the company created 11,474 jobs in Zambia and supported 34,074 people. She says Zambia Sugar remains committed to actively supporting government's social and economic development agenda. Mrs. Katoa said the company's 708 million kwacha refinery project increased annual production to 450,000 tons, making it the largest capacity sugar production facility in Africa. The Zambia Sugar PLC's Managing Director said this in a statement issued to ZNBC News today. We now go for a second commercial break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Germany Ambassador to Zambia Akim Bukat says Zambia's multi-sectoral approach in the fight against cholera is commendable. Ambassador Bukat says the involvement of the military in cleaning the streets was a bold decision. He has since commended President Edgar Lungu for his commitment in the fight against cholera. The German envoy said this in Lusaka during a joint press briefing with Minister of Health Chitelu Chilufya and Minister of Water Development, Sanitation and Environmental Protection Dennis Wanchinga. And Dr. Chilufya says government values the relationship it enjoys with Germany. He says government alone cannot manage to provide all the necessary material towards the fight against cholera. Meanwhile, Dr. Wanchinga says his ministry will continue with interventions to protect water sources and other water bodies to avoid the spread of cholera. He has called on the business community to take interest in investing in solid management initiatives.
One of the biggest cooperating partners in the field of water supply and sanitation in Zambia since about 3 decades. And in May of this year, we will continue to discuss these questions in our government-to-government consultations, which will take place in Lusaka. I assume that adequate water supply, sanitation, and groundwater management are crucial to prevent waterborne diseases. And looking at what has happened over the recent 4 to 6 months, in the 21st century in Lusaka, nobody should lose his loved ones to disease like cholera.
I want to thank the German government for this opportunity to engage with all stakeholders to discuss cholera outbreaks in Lusaka. It also shows, it also reaffirms the warm relations that exist between Zambia and Germany, and we'll look forward to even greater collaboration. We thank you for the support you've given us in various sectors of government.
Our entry point as a ministry is at 3 levels. First of all, we have to protect where the water comes from. I think this is not a direct responsibility of our ministry, but we have to work with the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, the Ministry of Local Government, in ensuring that the water aquifers, the collecting points of water and groundwater, which form the sources of most of our streams and most of the water we get from our boreholes, are protected.
And a combined team of defense officers and health inspectors has embarked on door-to-door inspections in various compounds in its quest to fight cholera. The men and women in uniform are inspecting households to a certain sanitation standards. Delphis Delongo has details in this report.
The fight against cholera by the defense wing and health inspectors has continued, and this time it has been taken to household level. The officers and inspectors have gone into different compounds to see how Zambians are treating the issue of sanitation. Mutendere compound is one of the compounds that has been described as one that has not taken the issue of sanitation seriously. The inspectors have discovered that most of the pit latrines are full, while some houses do not have at all. For the few using waterborne toilets, running water is not available. Residents have, however, welcomed the inspections, saying it's long overdue.
My comment is that they should just keep on checking, because that's when people who take care of their homes, their places, because some people are just dead, you see. So at least if these soldiers will be passing through to see the sanitation issue, I'm sure others, they can change, they can improve on their surroundings.
Vili chabe bwino mamena vuonena chikupacha kuti mkombo nomwandi mangalidwe sali bwino chikupacha kuti dot ya chiramu lero timaziwa nakuziwa kuti dot ibula chikupacha kolera manje olo kuti ati vapita musika kuti niwo ipo lobwanja batipunzisa hygiene vake yalinga pa umoyo watu
filife bwino kai fimbi tatwaishi wemba fimfi bayeto akufie tukula kutekwa atako kwambo kwamya pamayanda ameshi kunena na kwata ku problem kaita yesa isa masanga ati 3 weeks itareisa so na ina tupera ko bwafya ngofo kwetaba nabanuno tabale kwata ishita kuti bawashe kufira mwamunaka so meshinga ile sangwa tule washa kwa bana bayisamba kai tufete sunga panga ndakiri na mishale sangwa.
And Defense Permanent Secretary Stad Mwale has commended the defense personnel for ensuring that the fight against cholera is taken to household level.
I came to just to encourage them and to commend them for the good work they're doing, and also to become, as they are trying to do and carry out this very important service that is there to see to it that we should not once again be attacked by cholera, so that they should take it easy. The civilians who are trying to assist, they are not military personnel. So I'm happy with what I found on the ground, that people, the civilians that come, and they've welcomed them. So I think the onus remains on us to see which levels we can engage our people. However, we are trying to see to it that we encourage people. We have seen most of the sewer lines are blocked, and some of the toilets there are like full. So we're trying to educate them. Fortunately, they've received it very well, and we believe we are encouraged to even continue to see to it that we assist, and this issue should not once more again disturb our lives and our businesses in Lusaka.
And the message on cholera seemed to have been heard.
I would like to encourage those people who don't wash their hands from using the toilet. I don't like it watching people die in Zambia. So let us improve and prevent this disease.
The soldiers are well known for securing the country's peace and security, but this time they've declared war against the country's current enemy, cholera. Theofista Lungu, TV2 News in Lusaka.
Pambashe Member of Parliament Ronald Chitotela has launched a scholarship scheme to help underprivileged children in Kawambwa district. Mr. Chitotela was speaking when he donated 150 desks and 60,000 exercise books to various schools and health centers in Kawambwa district. Mark Ziligone has details in this report.
Helping vulnerable children to access education is one of the promises he made before being elected as Area Member of Parliament. Pambashe Member of Parliament Ronald Chitotela has launched a scholarship scheme to help vulnerable children in 8 schools in Kawambwa district. Mr. Chitotela says the 4,000 scholarship scheme is part of the 2017 Constituency Development Fund, CDF.
sponsor until wabene bapuisha ama secondary school. Kano fiabo bambia bakweba ati hapo na nomba ne mumwebana mweba pokere le ishuko ndefo kumikonkomesha mposha mano ku school. Ishuko talimoneka moneka. Nkeze umfwa maka mweba kashana tule kulipirira na isa umfwati na upwa. Kesa kuropole fikoti ne mweba fiashinga mwafyo omwana undu tule lipirira nkesa mukakishi.
The Pambashe lawmaker also donated 60,000 books to various schools and health centers in the district.
And then the number of books is in excess of 60,000, different size, because we have the A5 and we have the A4. Distribution is across all sectors of individuals. We are not giving PF. We are giving to citizens of Zambia whose president is Edgar Chagwalungu, the Republican president.
Acting Kawambwa District Education Board Secretary Samuel Njamu is pleased with the gesture.
Icho tuletotela na pabuteko ubuli bwelelo bantu balisakamana amasambiriro y'abana besu ababonse mwamu n'abana aba epali ntungulushi nga mwasa mono kushi ntungulushi shikapita nomba ababana nga tubasambirishe nishi mukyalo kuti twakwata obwafya.
Some parents are also happy with the development. Mr. Chitotela also donated 40,000 kwacha to women clubs in the district for them to support their families. Mark Ziligone, ZNBC News, Kawambwa District, Rapula Province.
Thank you so much for watching the main news. We now take our final break, and when we return, Brian Mulamba will present sports news.
Welcome back. Government has disassociated itself from an online story attributed to the Minister of Information and Broadcasting Services and Chief Government spokesperson Dora Silia that it would not support a Southern Province football team, because the region has rich people who could help the club. Government says Ms. Silia, who is currently in Petauke, did not at any time talk to a Zambia News and Information Services and news reporter purported to have issued the story. Acting Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting Services, Isaac Chipampe, has since urged citizens and the general public to consider the said write-up as fake news and treat it with the contempt it deserves. Mr. Chipampe said in Lusaka that government is concerned that unscrupulous people have taken to concocting stories about leaders aimed at demeaning them in the eyes of the public. Mr. Chipampe has advised that any statement by the Chief Government spokesperson shall be authenticated by a signed and stamped media statement. He says it is clear that some quarters of society are hell-bent on pushing a tribal agenda. Mr. Chipampe has urged young Zambians to be aware of made-up online stories by those wishing to sow seeds of hatred in the nation. To chess now, where the Chess Federation of Zambia patron, Chitalu Chilufya, has implored the corporate world to consider investing in the sport as it has the potential to create wealth and good health for the youth. Chilufya, who is also Minister of Health, says Zambia has massive talent in sports such as chess, adding that this is why he is calling on business entities to help revamp the sport, especially in schools. Chilufya, who is also Mansa Central Member of Parliament and Patriotic Front member of the Central Committee, said this when he closed a 3-day 500,000 kwacha rich Henry Courtyard 2018 Open Chess Tournament in Mansa. Here's a report.
Chess is a game of intellectuals as it helps develop cognitive functions for both school-going children and adults. This is why the Chess Federation of Zambia patron, Chitalu Chilufya, has implored the corporate world to consider investing massively in the sport as it has potential to create wealth and good health, especially for the youth.
We are going to work with stakeholders to ensure that chess in schools is revamped. We're going to ensure that leagues, we reintroduce leagues in all the zones.
Chilufya, who is also Mansa Central Member of Parliament and Minister of Health, said this when he closed a 3-day 500,000 kwacha rich Henry Courtyard 2018 Open Chess Tournament in Mansa.
I want to assure you, as patron of the Chess Federation of Zambia, that we're going to mobilize resources, we're going to network with corporates, we're going to ensure that we leverage resources from the corporate world to ensure that chess tournaments are regular so that our people have time to develop and become grandmasters and international masters.
He also thanked government for its commitment in embracing all sports activities in the country.
The Patriotic Front Party government under His Excellency Mr. Edgar Chagwalungu will continue investing in the development of sport in the country. Minor disciplines, minor sports, so-called classified minor sports will be prominent sports.
The tournament was jointly supported by the Chess Federation of Zambia, Luapula Hub of Knowledge University, Asmo Enterprise and individuals, with Henry Courtyard as a lead sponsor. Meanwhile, Henry Courtyard Corporate Affairs Director Mukubulo Chilufya thanked all stakeholders for hosting a successful 2018 Open Chess Tournament.
You've consistently supported the game of chess and including other sporting activities. This is a milestone for the game of chess because as we speak, chess in Luapula and Zambia in particular has become the hub of the game in the region.
The tournament that draws participants from all the 10 provinces of Zambia is used as a pool to select players for the national team. Robert Mwanza, ZNBC Sports, Mansa.
Cricket Under-17 national team coach Isaac Mwaba says he will select a strong team ahead of the 5-nation tournament next month. Mwaba says he is impressed with the quality of players who have made it to the Lusaka select side. Details in the following report.
With barely a month before the 5-nation cricket tournament, preparations are in high gear. These are some of the players that turned up for the Under-17 national team trials at Baobab College in Lusaka. They came here with the hope of making the team for the Lusaka Select, but only 16 out of the 30 made the cut. The trials were conducted under the watchful eye of coach Isaac Mwaba, a former national team cricket playmaker himself.
We need to come up with a team that will be able to represent the country. So this is the first stage. We want to come up with the Midlands Select side. Then after we've selected the team that will represent Midlands, then we'll be able to go to the Copper Belt again, conduct the similar trials and come up with the Copper Belt Select. Then from there, that's when we're going to make the final team.
Those that made the team are happy and looking forward to representing the country at the tournament.
It's a great opportunity to be in this team because I've worked so hard to be in this team.
Because it's a big opportunity to represent your country and all eyes will be on the people going to Ndela to play in the tournament, so everyone will be working harder going forward.
Well, we've proved ourselves in the country, so we hope to work hard and go play on the Copper Belt side and be selected that side also and make our nation proud.
The Zambia Cricket Union ZCU is not only looking at the engagement next month, but others later this year.
We also have a senior
tournament that will be coming up in August, where we're going to have what is known as an Africa Cup, the southern region. We're going to have countries such as Zambia, Namibia, Botswana, Malawi, Mozambique, Swaziland and Lesotho competing.
Coach Isaac Mwaba is this week expected in Kitwe to conduct similar trials before coming up with a final team for the tournament Zambia will host next month. Chiko Mkoka for TV2 Sports News at the Baobab College in Lusaka.
Well, thank you very much, Chiko, for that report, and that's a wrap of your sports. But don't go away because Nawalia has the rest of the headlines. Bye-bye.
To end the news, we take a look at the stories making headlines. President Edgar Lungu has received an overview of the Ministerial Economic Cluster Report from 4 ministries. The ministries comprise agriculture, livestock and fisheries, tourism, communications and transport. Chief Government spokesperson Dora Silia says the recent ratings of Zambia's economy by Moody's and Standard & Poor's is a sign of confidence the international community has in the country. Ms. Silia, who is also Minister of Information and Broadcasting Services, says government will continue to support priority economic sectors for job and wealth creation. Germany Ambassador to Zambia Akim Bukert says Zambia's multi-sectoral approach in the fight against cholera is commendable. Ambassador Bukert says the involvement of the military in cleaning the streets was a bold decision. And the Chess Federation of Zambia has implored the corporate world to consider investing in sport as it has potential to create wealth and good health for the youth. Chilufya, who is also Minister of Health, says Zambia has massive talent in sports such as chess, adding that this is why he is calling on business entities to help revamp the sport, especially in schools. Well, that's it for the news. Join us for more news later on this evening. My name is Nawali of Lahakis on behalf of my sign language interpreter, Samson Wale, as well as the entire crew on duty. Good evening.